What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for us AEW Rampage and SmackDown review for September the 3rd, 2021. 2 nights away from All Out. Of course, Rampage was main evented by Darby, Allin, and Daniel Garcia with CM Punk on commentary, while SmackDown was main evented by a Universal Championship match and so much more. So we're going to start with Rampage as we do every week. It is the match show that we just got done seeing. This was a really fun show. We had Malachi Black taking on Lee Johnson. Chris Statlander took on Jamie Hayter and Rebel, mostly Rebel. Jamie Hayter got a little bit in, but we'll talk about all that here in a moment. So Malachi Black takes on Lee Johnson. Of course, Malachi has been targeting the the Nightmare family since the beginning. He took out Cody and Arn first off, then he took out Cody, then he took out Brock and Arn, and here he is against Lee Johnson. Now, Lee Johnson has been in AEW for a while, so you're not going to job this guy out and do what you did to Brock. He's going to get some stuff in, and they do go through a commercial break. So Lee Johnson does get some stuff, but it's pretty much academic who's going to win this. Now, the interesting thing about this was the way that it ended. Lee got some stuff in. Malachi wrecked him majority of the time, but Malachi goes outside to get a chair. The referee's like, "What are you doing? What the hell are you doing?" So it looks like Malachi is going to hit Lee Johnson in on the back, but he just hands the chair to Lee. He's like, "Get up! You want to get revenge, huh? You want to get payback for your mentors and stuff." Gives him the chair. Lee Johnson he puts his back to Lee as Lee is still down on the mat. Lee slowly gets up, and Lee eats the black mass, whatever they're calling it in AEW. I have not heard. They call it a spin kick, or they're calling it a spinning kick, but I'm calling it the black mass still because that's what it's good. They don't have a good name for it, so I'm going to call it the black mass. And Lee Johnson gets pinned 1, 2, 3. So, of course, Malachi Black was going to win. When down strolls Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes comes down. Malachi leaves, and it's not he's running because he's scared. He's like, you know what? I like you said on Wednesday. I decide when I take these guys out. They don't get this. We're playing by my rules, not your rules. So there you go. Malachi Black takes out Lee Johnson. Nothing else you can say about that. I'm loving what they're doing with Malachi Black. He's got to go through Dustin. If Cody is back before Grand Slam, if Cody makes his return the week before Grand Slam, which is in 2 weeks, then certainly Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black will be at Grand Slam. That's the only place that makes sense. Cody again should lose. There is no reason that Malachi Black should be losing to anybody anytime soon. Not even Cody Rhodes. Plain and simple. So we move on here, post-match, Dustin, all that stuff. Backstage, Mark Henry is standing with Dustin Rhodes. Dustin wants a match with Malachi on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, and says for years he's lived in darkness, and Black doesn't scare him because he thrives in darkness, and when he puts a stop to Black's maddening attacks on his family. So Dustin Rhodes, Malachi Black, this coming Wednesday. And Malachi, again, is going to tear through another Rhodes. Will Cody be done with the Big Show tapings by Wednesday? I have no idea. But it's going to come down. We're going to get Cody and Malachi again. And, of course, Malachi should be winning. I don't care. Cody is like Teflon. He doesn't need to win a match. He needs to put younger guys over. Guys who you want to build stock up. I mean, look at Lance Archer and what they've done with him since he lost to Cody in that TNT Championship finale. He has done next to nothing. Yes, he had a world title match against Jon Moxley. And, of course, the mistake of Eddie Kingston not being truly eliminated. That got a little storyline out of it. Got the match out of those two. And yes, he did win the U.S. Championship, but that felt like a token to him for being here and just putting up with those things, putting up with that no good booking for him. And he just feels like he's spinning his wheels again because Cody is Cody, and that's what Cody wants to do, is make people spin their wheels. So I don't know what else we're going to do for anyone. Cody needs to lose to Malachi Black, period. So next comes the TNT champion Miro with a spotlight on him in the middle of the ring. Tells Eddie Kingston ahead of the title battle on Sunday that he acknowledges Kingston struggled to get to AEW. However, he thinks he's gotten soft now that he stands behind Jon Moxley. Said he took an easy way to get to AEW. And I'm thinking, yeah, so did you. You got brought in as Kip Sabian's best man. You didn't win no contract. You were handed a contract after being named the best man by Kip Sabian. Don't sit there and pretend like Eddie Kingston took a soft way in. Ricky Starks then, if that's up to you. And so did many other people who came in via the TNT title tournament or the Open Challenge by Cody last year. Kingston runs out and he informs him that his God sent him to bulldoze his legacy. He warns that Kingston does. He says, things that I do, naming off his moveset and the DDT, of course, they are his weak point with the neck, and that he is here. He doesn't believe in Miro's God, and that he is going to punish him, and he is going to take everything that means anything to him. Miro wants him to dare step foot in his ring because he won't be standing come Sunday. Kingston says, redeem these nuts, gets into the ring. Miro retreats to the outside. Kingston goes after him, gets whacked with the belt. They get back in the ring. He puts the belt on Kingston's face. He's going to stomp on the belt on Kingston's face, which would be really stupid either way. Kingston moves, hits a DDT, and Miro is down as Kingston stands tall. He does not touch the belt, but I still keep my prediction as I did on Wednesday. Miro's winning. It could be a sleeper match tonight by far. This match is probably going to be one of the best matches in AEW at All Out. Handicap match, Chris Statlander versus Rebel and Jamie Hayter. The best friends cannot be at ringside, and the Faker is at ringside, and she doesn't actually get involved in this match. I found very interesting. You have, of course, Rebel and Jamie Hayter getting this match for the simple fact is the Faker fears Chris Statlander taking her title away from her, even though I know AEW is not going to take the title off of her now. Because the big money match, whether you like Baker or not, and I don't like her, but whether you like it or not, the big money match to them is Thunder Rosa versus the Faker at probably the next pay-per-view, which will be at Full Gear in St. Louis. So, yeah. Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter kick things off. Both women lock horns with small collar and elbow tie-up. Statlander and Jamie Hayter are about the same size, so there you go. Rebel pulls Statlander's hair, helping Hayter get some shots in. Hayter makes the tag to Rebel. Rebel connects a furious stomps and looks good for the inside hook. Statlander kicks out at 2. Rebel plants a couple yes kicks, hint hint. Hayter runs in for help. Rebel, Statlander uses them against each other, hitting a DDT on Rebel and a splash on Hayter. Both will be enough to finish this, not yet. Statlander evades a splash in the corner. She hoists Rebel up on her shoulders in the electric chair. Hayter climbs, and this was fucking great because she had Rebel up on the electric chair position. Hayter goes in for a crossbody, but she gets caught. So Statlander is carrying both of these women at the same fucking time. I know women are a little bit better than men, but my God, did this make this look fucking great. She slams both of them at the same time. Statlander puts Rebel in a spider crab submission of sorts. Rebel immediately taps out, and Statlander picks up the victory as Jamie Hayter practically bailed on Rebel for the match. the Faker, Hater, and circle around, and we have three women standing on the apron looking to triple team Statlander. Red Velvet charges in and makes the odds a little bit better, I guess, but the heels jump off and run away. As that. I so would love to see Chris Statlander win the Women's Championship. There's no goddamn reason to keep the title on the Faker. She's a failure as a Women's Champion. She is a failure in the ring. She's a failure on the mic. She is a worthless sack of shit who needs to be removed from the Women's Championship. But of course, like I said, the big money match to them is Thunder Rosa and the Faker. If it wasn't a big money match to them, then there was no way they would have had those two go out there in a, what was it called, a lights out match, and Thunder Rosa pretty much carry her ass. Which still pisses me off to this day that AEW gives all the praise in the world to the Faker as the star of that fucking lights out match, but fucking Thunder Rosa carried her ass from start to finish. Yet she's the one getting rewarded. She's the one being the women's champion, and it's a fucking disgrace. The women's championship, until that bitch gets it away from her, until they get it away from that bitch, is going to be a fucking disgrace championship until then. Moving on here. Let's see here. So, we get that confirmation that Dustin Rhodes will take on Malachi Black on Wednesday. We did see from Jon Moxley and Satoshi Kojima's press conference this weekend, earlier today, that they both decided to trade some shots, and that next week Andrade will take on Pac on Rampage. They said travel issues. I've also heard medical issues. I don't know the exact real story of what it is. But it is what it is. We get the typical promo package from both guys backstage from the main event, Darby Allin and Daniel Garcia. Of course, 2.0 and Daniel Garcia want to stop Punk versus Allin because they can. And Punk and Allin says, I'm going to beat you, and then I'm going to go up. I'm going to look you dead in the eye, beat you, then go up to the commentary and stare Punk in the eye. And that was that. We go to the main event. Now, Daniel Garcia, Darby Allin, this was a pretty good main event. Darby Allin is just over with this crowd. It's going to be very interesting to see on Sunday night when you have Darby Allin and CM Punk in the middle of the ring. CM Punk over as Rover because he's CM fucking Punk. Darby Allin over as Rover. It's going to be really interesting to see who Chicago sides with when we get into this match on Sunday night. So back and forth between these two, they're having themselves a hell of a match. They go to picture in picture. Garcia with the full control during the break. Punk stands up from the commentary and points at Garcia. Garcia takes Punk's opponent and tosses him into the center corner. Allin tries to fight back, but his punches don't do any favors. Moments later, Allin rises to his feet. Garcia plants a nasty knife-edge charm. Allin finds his back with some heavy forearms. Garcia traps Allin in the rear naked choke just as the ads conclude. Now, CM Punk did hint on commentary. It so happened that Darby Allin was to be taken out and wasn't able to compete on Sunday, which of course is not going to happen. The match would have then been CM Punk versus Daniel Garcia. He even admitted that, yeah, if somehow Darby Allin gets taken out of this match and can't compete, then yeah, sure, no problem. I will definitely take this guy on because he does have an eye on Daniel Garcia. Allin keeps Garcia in the corner. It's a nice back elbow smash. Garcia escapes and applies another rear naked choke. He actually takes Darby Allin up to the top, up on the ring with the rear naked choke on the corner. And they both start fumbling down, back to the vertical back. Allin does a Pepsi's twist onto Garcia, which Punk notices and says he probably did it better than I ever did. Punk gives Allin a clap and tells him the guy on commentary what I just said. Back in the ring, Allin applies a backslide, which they got into another rear naked choke. And Allin is trying to fight this. He's looking like he's going to be out of it. Goes up top, hits a coffin drop of sorts, taking down Daniel Garcia. That looked nasty. Allin then applies a black slide for a 2 count, twisted him up into the Last Supper for the 1, 2, 3. Darby Allin is your winner. After the match, 2.0, get in there, beat the shit out of him. Sting tries to fight too. He takes down and plays Garcia, while 2.0 takes and beats up on Darby Allin on the outside. After a moment, CM Punk finally comes down to just doesn't even throw a punch. He chases them away. Darby Allin gets in the ring like a missile, takes both of these guys out. Suicide dive, gets back up, stare down with Punk, and that's how the show goes off the air. CM Punk, Darby Allin, no words were being said. Just mean stare down as we get ready for All Out. This coming Sunday, I cannot wait. It was a decent show. I mean, it is what it is. It's just AEW doing AEW things. There's nothing more you can do about it. It is fun. It is great. I'm happy to see what they're going to be doing coming up very, very soon. But AEW is just killing it. And yes, and Dark was taped there tonight. Dark was, I believe, taped before AEW, before Wednesday night as well. Who knows what's going to happen there. But they have... Dark is going to be going to the studio, Universal Studios, the former home of TNA Impact. Some of the best years in that company's existence happened in Universal Studios. And now Dark, possibly some Dark elevations if they have to, will be taped there. And honestly, this is great for AEW because they don't have to do it. They don't have to be at Universal Studios every week. They could take an entire weekend that they're not doing anything, bring in like all the talent they need to, have a month worth of Darks taped within a weekend. So I think that's great for AEW to be able to go out there and have that happen. Of course, this place also was where WCW Worldwide, I think it was taped back in the 90s. So Tony Khan wants to make use of Universal Studios and where we will now be seeing AEW Dark, except for when we have live Rampages like we did tonight and like we will have in the middle of October. Now that that's over with, let's talk about SmackDown. SmackDown's big hook was tonight was the Universal title match between Roman Reigns and Finn Balor. But before we get to that, we had to have a SmackDown Tag Team Championship Contenders match, where the Usos took on the Street Profits because what happened last week with the Street Profits coming down, sticking their nose in family business. So, here we go with this match. Now, my biggest problem with this is the Alpha Academy has been doing great shit on WWE, on SmackDown television. Why not have, and these guys have had history, and yes, it would be a rematch, but why not have these guys go out there and wrestle the Street Profits with the Alpha Academy and have them go out there and just kick some ass, and we get ourselves a damn good tag team #1 contenders match. Now they advertised for Monday Night Raw Tag Team Turmoil, where 7 teams, I can't believe Raw has 7 teams, most of them are makeshift anyway, are going to vie for the #1 contendership against the RK Bros. So Raw can get a tag team turmoil match, but you can't give me a tag team #1 contenders match between the Street Profits and the Alpha Academy. Somebody explain to me this, because I am fucking confused about this. It makes no goddamn sense. But that's what we're getting on Monday. Also on Monday is going to be Nia Jax versus Shawbot, again, for the Women's Championship. Here's my problem. I do not remember the match between Shawbot and Nia Jax being a #1 contender, a championship contenders match. I don't. So, and why is she getting a title match? Oh, because she pinned the champion, but it wasn't a champion's contenders match. On top of that, Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart have won not one, but two championship contenders matches since they made their debut. But yet, WWE has not given them a title match. Why? Why is Nia Jax getting a title match when the Women's Tag Team Championships aren't getting defended by the Women's Tag Team Champions? This just shows you how much WWE really cares about the Women's Tag Team titles when the rightful number one contenders have won two championship contender matches and have yet to receive a title shot. Unless they put them on the house show, and that shouldn't fucking count. But the Street Profits versus the Usos, this was a pretty good match, a good opener. Just what it is. Now, unfortunately, it gets a DQ finish for the Street Profits, as Jay was not the legal man. He comes in, sends forward to the ring post, and then on the opposite side, the referee calls the match as he's not legal, and he keeps beating him up. After the bell, the Usos take double team Dawkins, throwing him into the ringside and sends him into the steel steps. As fans boo, then Ford runs the top rope and leaps over the top, taking the Usos down onto the announce table for a big pop. Cole says Ford may have injured himself on that dive. The Profits stand up on top of the announce table now, playing to the crowd and yelling for a pop. We go backstage to Reigns and Heyman. Reigns tells Heyman to bring his cousins, so we get a ringside. We see the Profits making the exit as the Usos recover. We go to see Heyman leaving the Roman's office, not office, but locker room. When, lo and behold, he's got his phone out, he's like whispering something to it, when Caleb Braxton comes up from behind and brings up the fact that the Usos, Balor and Reigns, he has a lot of things on his plate, and Heyman's just like, don't do this every single week. You should just enjoy the moment when all of a sudden we hear Brock's theme as a ringtone on Heyman's phone. He ignores the call, but Lesnar calls back. Heyman then says he will deliver the message, whatever that message is. He goes to speak again, but it looks like Lesnar hangs up on him. Braxton tells Heyman she's definitely enjoying the moment. Heyman turns around and bumps into what looks like a janitor, and he's like, hey, if you're going to be taking out the garbage, how about you start with her? A guy pops up, and it's Big E laughing in Paul Heyman's face as he pulls out his Money in the Bank briefcase and laughs, taunting Heyman. I'm hoping when the draft comes that Big E is moved to Monday Night Raw so he can cash in on Bobby Lashley and become the WWE Champion, because Big E cashing in on Roman Reigns will lead to an absolute cash-in failure. And we need to have actually a good Money in the Bank win this year. Having the original winner last year be Otis and get screwed out of his briefcase, and then have The Miz, of all people, beat Drew McIntyre after Bobby Lashley beat the living shit out of him just to get a title match a week later. Yeah, no. No. Out comes SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch to the pop. I don't know about you, but I don't see a heel in here yet. Back from break and fans are chanting. She recalls making her triumphant return to SmackDown last week. No, you deserve it, champ, but that's fine. Then she gets a uterus. She says that, and the fans go, you deserve it, in a chant, and she's like, that's what I'm talking about. You guys should have been here last week. She mentions how she didn't get to talk about Bianca Belair. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there were actually boos when Bianca's name was mentioned. Now, of course, with the way they reacted to Bianca when she was out here in a few minutes, then it was probably just the fact that she mentioned it, and it reminded people of how she beat Bianca at the pay-per-view. But yeah, she's like, I didn't get to talk about Bianca Belair, and I heard some boos. Not many boos, but I heard some boos. She praises her and says we can imagine how excited she was to face Belair at SummerSlam. She says somehow, out of all of this, she is being portrayed as the bad guy. I returned to save SummerSlam when Banks went down, the powers that be called the man. And how Bianca doesn't get to cry that Becky beat her too fast because she wasn't ready and Becky was. That's not on Becky, that's on you. So She says she can call the EST of EST of WWE and claim that, but they know she's a lie. She's a lie. She brags about how she easily ended Belair's title reign, and out comes Belair. Now, before Belair came out, everything Becky said was getting cheers. She wasn't getting booed. She wasn't getting none of that. She was just getting some of the loudest pops in all of the show. So I'm like, where's this Becky heel turn? I heard she was supposed to be a heel. Why am I not hearing Becky Lynch getting booed? I don't know what the hell's going on here. So, Belair comes out. Fans are chanting for Becky. So, hold on. Oh, no. Belair comes out, swinging her hair, skipping to the ring. Again, I don't know why this woman is so jovial and happy when she got destroyed and embarrassed at SummerSlam, and last week came out as if nothing happened. That's my biggest problem with this, is that Becky Lynch pretty much is owning this woman, because she went out there and she did nothing. She got embarrassed. She got beat. She got made into a fool, and yet here she is 1 week later, and she still is acting like nothing. It's not a big deal. Because, yeah, she went out there. She earned her title shot last week, even though Becky could have given her one. But no, she earned it like everything else. I hate babyface Bianca Belair. I'm just saying this right now. Her promo work is always so cringe-worthy as a babyface. Harken back to NXT back when Bianca Belair was a heel. The bitch heel she was, cutting all those scathing promos about pretty much against everybody. And of course, when she wanted to be a babyface against Shayna Baszler, that didn't work at all. But here she is, and they're having her be a fucking babyface, and it sucks so fucking much. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just that it sucks so much to have to listen to this woman be a babyface when she's a natural heel. And then you look at Becky, and it's like, Becky's supposed to be a heel, and WWE wants so desperately, and again, I don't buy the fact that Becky Lynch went to Vince McMahon and is like, yeah, I'm coming back, but I want to be a heel. And apparently the reason she wants to be a heel is because it was working so well for Roman Reigns. But it's like, you left at the night after Money in the Bank as the biggest babyface in the women's division in this company since Daniel Bryan in 2014. There is nobody on your level as a babyface. You coming back as a heel would only work as if somebody was elevated to that babyface status. Nobody else is. Not Sasha, not Bayley, not like Bayley NXT probably could have been that way, but Bayley in the main roster, no. Not Bianca, not Liv Morgan. If they gave Liv Morgan time, I could see it being one of those things, but they have to give time and effort to Liv Morgan. Not Carmella, not anybody else on SmackDown. Raw is a disaster for the women's division. So you coming back as a heel made no sense. But makes no sense. Roman was hated by the majority. Everybody wanted this guy to be a heel. There's a difference in why it's working for Roman Reigns, is because this is what everybody wants to see. Nobody wants to see Becky Lynch be a heel. Nobody wants to see Becky Lynch coming out there cutting heel promos, saying I don't give a damn, or any of this other bullshit they have her doing. We want to see Becky be the man, be the top woman in WWE. Having her come back and try to be a heel is failing miserably. And Bianca Belair, if she was a natural born babyface, if they built her up right and actually used her right, then yes, I could see her being a babyface. But they haven't. They have squandered everything that her and Bayley did. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. She should not be a heel. Becky Lynch should be the babyface. Bianca should be the heel. And honestly, that's just how it should be. You don't like it? I don't care. It's just not working. And WWE needs to get that shit under control. Because it's just going to hurt the company in the end. I mean, look at, like I said, look at Stone Cold Steve Austin. What happened to Stone Cold Steve Austin in WWE in 2001? Now, I'm not saying Becky Lynch is on the same level as a Stone Cold Steve Austin. Nobody is. But seriously, when Stone Cold Steve Austin turned heel, Rock went off to be in Hollywood, and they had no big babyface to challenge Stone Cold or anyone on his level. The company tanked. Ratings started to dip. The ratings dip that you see in 2021 all started in 2001, the night after Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin shook hands and Stone Cold Steve Austin turned heel. It was a slow decline, and now it's just it was a fast decline once other things happened in the world of professional wrestling. But it's just not going to be one of those things that they're never going to get back to what they had before. Having Becky Lynch be heel is not going to make any difference. It's not going to help the company. It's going to make it even worse. And again, if she's supposed to be a heel, they're doing a terrible job at portraying her. Just look back in 2018. What happened in 2018? Oh, let's see. Carmella and Becky Lynch had a women's championship match that was supposed to be Carmella versus Becky Lynch, but Shawbot 9000 somehow weaseled her way into that match. So Becky was supposed to turn heel there. We were supposed to sympathize with Shawbot when Becky slapped her and beat the shit out of her, but if you watch that moment back, Becky is cheered for doing what everyone felt like her getting justice for the injustice that Shawbot laid out on her. And then the infamous You People, the infamous You People promo the next Tuesday on SmackDown, in which Becky tried to be a heel, and it just didn't work. And WWE said, fuck, we'll just make her a babyface. Shawbot's a natural heel. Becky's a natural babyface, and we'll just go that way. So, of course, what happens in this segment here, Bianca Belair wants her title match tonight because Roman Reigns is defending his title tonight, so maybe you should too. Becky says, I don't give a damn what Roman does. No. Drops the mic. There were tiny bit of boos. It wasn't the full crowd. Some fans did boo, of course. Any babyface or anybody could have went out there. The fans are chanting yes, and the fans are chanting yes. They expect for the person to say, yeah, all right, we'll do that. No. The babyface says no, walks off. It could have been anybody trying to portray a babyface or a heel. You say no to when they say yes, unless Daniel Bryan's like doing the no back and forth with them, you're gonna get boos. Plain and simple. So backstage, it is decided that Becky Lynch will defend her title at Extreme Rules against Bianca Belair, and they will sign on the line next week in Madison Square Garden. Yes, SmackDown is going to be in the Garden on Friday next week. It's called Super SmackDown, by the way, and the Super is in red, so I expect Raw talent to be there. Backstage, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode are backstage walking. Ziggler stops at Toni Storm. Oh my God, Toni Storm is actually seen on television in about a 2-minute segment. But we were wondering, everyone's wondering, where the fuck is Toni Storm been? She made her debut right after Money in the Bank, if I'm correct, and hadn't been seen since. But here you go, Toni Storm. Ziggler offers Storm a ringside seat to watch his match or in his corner. She thanks him and says he's really a nice guy, but she's already rooting for Rick Boogs. Ziggler says we're all kind of rooting for Boogs because he's a nice guy, and he walks off. So Rick Boogs takes on Dolph Ziggler. Now, this match was quick and over pretty fast. Boogs beats him in about maybe 2.5 minutes. Pump handle slam for the pin and the win. Got to show off his amateur wrestling skills on Dolph Ziggler, but it really wasn't that big of a match. Now, I will say that he did also show off his power game as he did a press over of Dolph Ziggler and threw him down, so that was impressive. Rick Boogs, all good over here. Of course, after the match, they celebrate, and that is that. Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville approach Becky. We already talked about that. Seth Rollins takes on Cesaro. Why is this match happening? Seth Rollins versus Cesaro is a feud that is over. And here's Cesaro going to the ring to once again take on Seth Rollins. Why? Because WWE is out of ideas. So, hey, remember how Seth Rollins and Cesaro had 2 big matches? I think they had 3. Let's run it back. Let's run it back and do it again. So, it was a hell of a match for the most part. Now, before the match, Caleb Braxton is backstage with Seth, asking why he requested a WrestleMania 37 rematch. He said he thought it'd be perfect time for a new beginning. He talks about Hall of Famer Edge and how he keeps watching the SummerSlam match. He figured out what he needed to do to win that match. And he'll use this information tonight to defeat rival Cesaro. He makes his entrance and takes on Cesaro. Now, it's Seth Rollins, it's Cesaro. Do you expect a terrible match between these two? No. The thing about this match tonight is that Edge, Seth Rollins, Edge was on Seth Rollins' mind for this match because he hits the Edge-o-matic on Cesaro. He also, the match ends in DQ because Cesaro had Seth Rollins reeling, goes for a running European uppercut on the outside, but Seth Rollins gets a chair up and stops that. So Cesaro wins by disqualification. You had 2 matches, if I'm correct tonight, end on a DQ. So that's a little much, don't you think? Takes the chair, beats him up. Gets a second chair, breaks a steel rod on it, applies the crossface as Edge used to do for a little bit. I guess it's the Glasgow grin. Fans boo Rollins as he breaks the hold. He yells at the crowd to shut up, and boos continue. He's yelling for Edge. He is yelling for Edge. Like, where are you, Edge? Where are you? Goes to do a one-man concerto to Cesaro. Edge finally runs to the ring with his own chair. Rollins retreats to the floor and looks on, laughing and taunting Edge. He leaves to the crowd. Edge checks on Cesaro, and that is that. We see Roman Reigns and the Usos backstage talking now. Reigns tells them to stick to the script and the game plan. They leave, and Hangman tells Reigns that his tribal chief that they have a problem. Reigns says there's no problem. He's about to smash Finn Balor. Heyman says they have a problem with Brock Lesnar. Reigns laughs and says Heyman has a problem with Lesnar. Reigns says he's going to smash Lesnar also when the time is right. Heyman says Lesnar will be at SmackDown next week in Madison Square Garden. Reigns is like, how do you know that? Because he called me on his phone for the first time in over a year. And he asks, is he watching the show tonight? Heyman says Fox must be really big in Saskatchewan. Reigns asks Heyman how he knows Lesnar is in Saskatchewan. He doesn't. Maybe he's in Minnesota. Reigns asks Heyman, how do you know he's not here tonight? And Heyman's got that look of, oh shit, on his face. We see a white Rolls Royce arriving in the back. And by the way, Brock Lesnar was not going to be here tonight. They advertised him for the fucking show next week. He going to be in the Garden. He ain't going to be anywhere in SmackDown until then. Now, the talk of the town now is that Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns is probably going to be settled at WrestleMania. And that The Rock is going to be held off for a year.
Do I really see Roman Reigns holding the Universal Championship between now and WrestleMania 23 and 2020? Not 23. I'm sorry. WrestleMania 2023, which would be 39, right? 38. Yeah, no, 39. Yeah, WrestleMania 39, right? Where the WWE goes Hollywood, WrestleMania goes Hollywood again for the first time in over 20 years, in almost 20 years. Yeah. I don't know. But I just, like, why would you bring Brock Lesnar back now if you're going to do him at WrestleMania? What are you going to do with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns before that? Yeah, WrestleMania 39. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you what exactly they're going to do for WrestleMania next year. And, like, why they would bring Brock Lesnar back. It just makes no sense why you would even do Brock Lesnar. Why would you even bring Brock Lesnar back this far away? Roman's got Finn, then Roman can get somebody else. Maybe they try to do Corbin for some stupid reason. Seth Rollins for some stupid reason. Again, Big E would be going to Monday Night Raw to cash in on Bobby Lashley and win the WWE Championship. They could have did that at SummerSlam, but that match was so awful with Goldberg. I think WWE and Vince McMahon had an aneurysm backstage and held off any plans of that. So, yeah. So, we're the ring, and out comes Kevin Owens for another must-see episode of the Kevin Owens Show. I don't give a shit about these talk shows. With Happy Baron Corbin, the king of Jackpot City, as it says on his social media accounts. Holy shit, I don't give a fuck about Corbin. This is supposed to make you care about Corbin. I really don't. Back from break in Corbin, before we get to Corbin, Edge is stopped in the back by Kayla. He hopes Seth Rollins would have moved on after the SummerSlam match, but he didn't. He says he knows the game Rollins is playing, as if he stops, Edge goes on and challenge Rollins. The War match next week, and says he's burned Rollins down once, and this time it'll be worse, and Rollins won't be the same after. He told Rollins this won't end well, and that is that. Now, clearly, this is going to be a 3-match feud. Edge won the first one. Rollins is going to win the second one. They're going to go to some kind of hardcore match or some kind of stipulation match at the pay-per-view Extreme Rules at the end of the month. So that is where this is going to go. So Edge versus Rollins. Edge is going to lose next week. 1-1. We go to the pay-per-view Extreme Rules. What match is going to be? Well, I think with tonight's way it went, we're probably going to get a chairs match. And that would be the hell of a time for somebody to tap out with the glass cow grin, whatever they fucking call it. So that would be what you go there. Over to the ring, he brings out Happy Baron Corbin with his Vegas theme. He's all so happy. He thinks Owens, it says he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Owens. He brags about his outfit and watch and how he's come back in the past few weeks. Owens says isn't going to put any of this on him. Corbin asks Owens if he wants his $100 back, but he's left his wallet in the Rolls Royce. Corbin mentions how he has a guest. Out comes Logan Paul. Logan fucking Paul. Owens says he didn't invite him because he wouldn't do that to the WWE Universe, and everybody booing this motherfucker out of the building. Nobody wants anything to do with Paul. How Paul and Corbin had issues during SummerSlam weekend, but they said they're now friends. They hung out in Vegas, and Corbin made a lot of money on Jake Paul's boxing winner with Tyron Woodley. Good for him. The match was rigged. Everybody knows it. Don't give a shit. He rips into Paul, calling him one of the biggest useless pieces of trash to ever step in the WWE ring. Hey, somebody said the quiet part out loud. Exactly. Nobody gives a shit about Logan Paul or Jake Paul. Just saying. Paul was about to offer Owens $100 and said, by the way he looks, he could use it more than Paul. Owens doesn't need Paul's money. All he needs from Paul for him to turn around, leave the ring, never show his face in WWE again. Paul shoves Owens. Owens drops the mic, shoves him harder. Corbin ends up dropping Owens with a cheap shot. They deliver a chokeslam in the middle of the ring. Him and Paul celebrate. Paul taunts Owens and picks up his money. Corbin and Paul show each other some love and exit the ring together, looking back on Owens and laughing at him. Biggest waste of motherfucking time of the week for WWE. I cannot understand why they're bringing this guy in. I guess it's to appeal to children, who Logan Paul appeals to. Just saying. Don't give a shit. So, back from break, and we see Carmella backstage filming some kind of vignette. A voiceover introduces the most beautiful woman in WWE. She's doing some poses. Liv Morgan is seen off to the side watching Carmella. She's like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And just has that look of disgust in her face. Give Liv Morgan more. She could be a lot more than they're allowing her to be. Back in the ring, out comes Dominic Mysterio with Ray. Ray heads to the ring. Ray stays on the entrance as he is going to once again, take on Sami Zayn. Of course, Dominic Mysterio is on this downward spiral. He's trying to do his own thing while having his father preach to him about the right ways to do things, and is not helping him whatsoever. So, yeah. This match doesn't go very long. Now, Sami Zayn's on the outside trying to leave. Mysterio doesn't allow that. He gets taken out on the outside by Dominic Mysterio. Ray's telling him, "Get him back in the ring, son. Get him back in the ring." Dominic turns the ring, tells him he's got this. He returns to the ring, but Sami levels him with a haluva kick. 1, 2, 3. Thanks to his father, Dominic loses again. He stands tall. Sami celebrates. He walks away while Dominic is crushed. While his dad checks on him, the cracks continue to fester. They're eventually going to break apart. Dominic on one side of the ring, Ray on the other side of the ring, and these two are going to have a war. When that happens, I don't know. Sonya Deville is backstage on the phone telling someone about Super SmackDown. Naomi interrupts her. It reminds her that Deville said last week how she told her she could have a match on the Blue Brand return match this week. Deville is busy and tells Naomi to remind her next week because, it slipped my mind. And then Michael Cole's in a very disappointing voice, "She's a former SmackDown Women's Champion." Yeah, they're burying the shit out of Naomi. It honestly feels like any repercussions that Jey Uso should be facing, Naomi's taking the brunt of them. They're doing whatever they can to punish Jey Uso through Naomi. That's how not Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. They're taking the sins of Jimmy and putting them on his wife. That is absolutely pathetic. This woman should have came back last week in a match and beat whoever the fuck they wanted to put her up against, and built herself up and reminding everybody who the fuck she actually is. But right now, they are making her out to just be an absolute joke. And it just feels like we can't punish Jimmy because if we punish Jimmy, The Rock will be hurt and we won't. And it's like, if you're pushing The Rock back to 2023, why not just punish Jimmy? What is keeping Jimmy in this storyline right now without punishment is going to hurt The Rock in 2 years? It just makes no sense. So, it just feels like Naomi's taking the punishment for her husband. Still to come, Balor vs. Reigns. That is your main event of the evening. As back from break, Caleb's Finn Balor in the back. His final thoughts on tonight's title shot. He says he's been asked a lot of questions about what would have happened if he wouldn't have been injured 5 years ago. Tonight, I answer those questions. That is always going to be one of the biggest what-ifs of the last decade. The last decade. What if Finn Balor doesn't get injured? He gets that, it'll always be that what if. What if he didn't get injured? How long would he have been champion? How many title defenses would he got? Now,
apparently, when he won the championship, the next pay-per-view was going to, well, because they were doing Raw and SmackDown separate pay-per-views at the time, and Raw had Hell in a Cell. Now, I guess if he wouldn't have gotten injured, it would have been Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor inside Hell in a Cell for the Universal Championship, and we didn't get that match. So, yeah, that's always going to be a big what if. Universal title match, Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns. Now, before the match could even get started, Roman Reigns sends out his henchmen. They beat the living shit out of this guy. The Street Profits come out before they can do enough damage to where he wouldn't be able to compete. Roman comes down nonchalantly, happy that his minions did a good job. And now it's Roman versus Finn Balor. Most of this match took place during the commercial break, but when they came back, Finn Balor just went ham on this guy. He pulled out every single move in the book that he could pull out. Hits the coup de grace. Looks like he's going to get the win. Roman's arm is in between Balor's legs as he goes for the pin. 1, 2, kick out, low blow. Well, Finn Balor is down. He is done. Roman Reigns comes up, beats the living bejesus out of this guy, puts him in the choke, and Finn Balor goes out. So Roman Reigns retains his championship. Roman Reigns will continue on. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman start leaving, and the lights change colors for a bit. And my first interpretation was that this was WWE teasing that maybe Brock Lesnar was coming. But a lot of people are interpreting it as the Fiend, not the Fiend, but the Demon is coming back. And we're going to get the Demon Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns at the pay-per-view. I really don't want to see Finn Balor bring the Demon back unless the Demon's winning. And we all know the Demon's not, like, Finn Balor is not winning the Universal title. Now, Balor got a lot. Roman Reigns gave Balor a lot in so short of a time. Like, it was like a 5-minute fury of Finn Balor trying his hardest to win the Universal Championship. Unfortunately, it did not work out. Now, next week is, of course, Super SmackDown, which again tells me that Monday Night Raw talent is going to be there. Because when you do Super, it's got to have both shows. Now, Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns, again for the Universal title. I mean, they could have the excuse that, yeah, Finn Balor got beat up before the match. He was beat down. It wasn't really fair. But not for nothing, from start to finish, he lost clean. He lost clean. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why they would give him another match, but we'll see what happens here. We did get one match confirmed for Extreme Rules. That, of course, is Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't see a stipulation, even though it's called Extreme Rules. I remember a couple years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, when they had the Extreme Rules moniker, they had one match that had anything to do with Extreme Rules, and that was RVD versus Alberto El Dipshit, or El Dumbfuck. And everything else was just standard matches, so it's like, why the fuck are you giving me a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules when the Extreme Rules stipulation doesn't even do anything? So, yeah. Like I said, Edge versus Seth Rollins, it's going to happen next week. Edge is going to lose, as he should. And then, at the pay-per-view, it's probably going to be a chairs match. Why? Because Concerto, the Glass Cow thing, whatever. There's a lot of things that they can do, and we will have to wait and see. Rampage was good. SmackDown was, it was okay. There was only really one rematch. So, I guess you can't complain about one rematch on a show. But that was basically it. SmackDown has its moments. Don't give a shit about the Baron Corbin stuff with any of that stuff. Keep Logan Paul off my fucking TV. The fans don't care. I don't care. You shouldn't care. Just keep him off TV. All Out is coming on Sunday. I cannot wait to get there. I know I wish I could be in Chicago. But, yeah, not going to happen. So I'll be here commentating on it on Minds as it goes on. And I'll have a review on Sunday. But that is your AEW Rampage and SmackDown review. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Minds at the France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/the France Club. And find me on Instagram at the France Club. And I will see you guys on Sunday. Or Monday morning, whenever the fuck the show ends, because they got 10 goddamn matches and they're going to start the show at 8. I don't think you're going to have many short matches, if any at all. I think the only match that's going to be short is Paul, nobody gives a shit, White versus QT, nobody gives a damn one, Marshall. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. Until then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.